Good evening and welcome to the fifth episode of the Runaway Show. It's my honor to welcome Namrata Joshipura, who was first a client and then became a friend, and who's joining us all the way from Canada today. Thank you, Namrata, for kicking yourself out of the bed early in the morning today. I know Canada's kind of getting colder, so I really
Yes.
appreciate you joining us today.
Not at all. Thank you, Gauri. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, by the way, congratulations for I think you just had your last your a couple of days ago the India Fashion Week launched your new collection.
Yes.
So congratulations on that. I just want to show our audience the Circle Back collection and tell them about this video presentation, which they can actually see on your Facebook page as well as the India Fashion Week's page. Am I right?
Yeah, and also the Instagram page has the whole show. So this is the first ever digital presentation that we did, given the new normal. So it was an exciting project, which also I did long distance on a video call, just like you. What I'm doing with you.
Wow. Wow, that's it. I mean, it's for sure. I think the lockdown has changed a whole lot of things, and I know that also from the perspective of fashion, you've really had to kind of challenge yourself. And before I ask you about how you actually dealt with the lockdown, I just want to tell others about these fantastic new masks that you've actually created, Namrata. Yeah,
Thank you. Yeah, that's our friend Milind. The only man to have our masks,
the only man to have
the NJ mask.
the NG mask. Yeah, these are really really cool, and so I think there's lots of creativity that's happening in this world. But I think with you in particular, there was a situation where you ended up being stranded from your family when the lockdown happened, and how did you just deal with all of that?
Well, yeah, my daughter studies in Canada, in Vancouver. So I split time between Delhi and Vancouver. And she's still young, she's 15. So I'd met her in January when she was in India for her vacation. And then
Wow.
back, I was to, go after my show in April. But, the show never happened. She was to come to Delhi for the show and she never came for the show. So neither of us got to meet. And then eventually everything got dragged. And finally, I made it to Canada in July on one of the Vande Bharat mission flights. So it was sort of an ordeal, but yeah, it was a hard time. And I kept myself sane by, running indoors like a mad monkey and exercising and cooking and all the weird stuff that you could think of doing indoors.
Yeah, I'm sure you must be grateful to have running as part of your life during that time. But let's take a step back and learn about your running journey. How did running happen to you, and how did you from there? Because I think your first race was actually Milan Soman's Pinkathon, right? And you started with a
Yeah.
10K, and then you got this full marathon chaska. So tell us a little bit about that journey.
So, I had moved from New York in 2009, and my daughter was very young at the time. And, I used to take her to Lodi Garden, just for a, outing every day. And then she had her friends and she would play with her friends, and her nanny would be around, and I would stand there. So I started to walk because living in New York, I was very used to walking a lot. So while she was playing with her dad or with with the nanny, I would walk around in Lodi Garden, and then I started doing walk run, and then I started only running, and then I decided that it was time that I maybe sign up for a race. And I had no idea what races are and what distances are. I was one of those where even a 10K was a marathon. So I had no clue about all those things. So I slowly got in, I so decided to attempt the shortest distance possible at the time, which was a 10K race. So that's how the 10K race happened.
And then how did you think about moving to marathons? I mean, a 10K to a 42.2 is like, I mean, it's like not everybody can do it, right?
I have always I've been a trekker from a very young age. By the way, the real running started when I was in school. I used to play hockey for Delhi State. So I played hockey for a very long time while I was in school, and then happened NIFT, which is NIFT in the Fashion Institute, and there was no time for anything additional at the time. So fast forward, did a 10K, and then I ran a few half marathons, and those halves were you know somewhat treacherous, somewhat I even collapsed at one of the finish lines, I remember. um, uh, s- and then, since I was a trekker always, I liked, I was used to putting longer hours, at something, on a day. So a friend, I was on a trek, and a friend sort of, while talking, we just got talking, and we had all done these couple of halves, and they said, have you ever thought of doing a marathon? So I said, you know what, I've thought about it, but I don't know if I'll be able to do it. And then that's how the journey happened. And I was introduced to my coach, and I decided that I am going to run a marathon. And this was not very long back. I decided in 2018 that I'm going to, I decided in 2017 that I want to, this conversation happened in 2017, and this was fag end of 2017. So I ran my first marathon in 2018. So
Yeah,
that's,
you ran your first, you ran your first marathon in 2018, and literally like towards the end of 2019, you had actually qualified for Boston, right?
right.
And the thing is, when I look at the life that you live, you are literally juggling these, this life between two continents, raising a daughter, you have this fashion empire that you built. And I know how hard it is to kind of keep up with the game, because in a world which requires creativity, be it music or design or fashion or art or films or books or whatever, anything that requires creative work just is like this constant pressure, because you're just relevant, till the time you're actually churning out work. So you have that, the kind of work that you do. I know you're doing fashion shows in across the world all the time, unveiling your latest trends, and there's a season that has a new that demands you to churn out new designs. So you're doing all of that, you're controlling the production. And when I just think about everything that you juggle with, somebody actually sent me a message today when I sent them a reminder about the talk show, and said, Namrata's literally the Iron Woman, right? You are doing so much, and it's really not that simple to kind of put in the hours and the work that is needed to actually become a BQ runner. So I'm curious to know, with all the travel that you have, with all the living across continents that you have, with the work that is so incredibly demanding, including hobnobbing with the celebrities into odd hours of the night, etc., etc. How have you managed to kind of keep your training going, and how do you continue to do that with everything that you have going on?
Gauri, when the desire is so deep, it seems effortless, you know so it is a joke between my friends and my running friends, that and that's how I signed up with Nakul. And when Nakul asked me, that's my coach, that in 2017, so why do you want to run the marathon? I said, I want to conquer the distance in my mind and in my with my body, and I want to qualify for Boston. He's like, you're kidding, right? I said, why? He's like, you know how many marathons it takes to qualify for Boston? I said, well, let's at least start with that. So he was very supportive and has been very supportive. He didn't rubbish it off. So that was my first start, to get a supportive coach who sort of believed it is possible, right? So that was the beginning. And then managing the two bits, it is hard, it is challenging. I am not going to say that it's easy. I would say the key word is discipline and consistency. You just have to be at it, you and like you already said, a lot of my work is not a 9 to 5 job. It's beyond office hours. It takes me to, I have to travel a lot. I have to interact with a lot of people, with the shows. So, there have been times where I have had to sort of, I remember there was a big black tie sit down dinner being hosted by the Fashion Design Council of India. And it was a very small dinner. And I was running the New York Marathon that year. And this dinner was on a Saturday night. I was on the board of the Fashion Design Council. However, I needed to train the next day, and it was my one of my long runs, the last long runs, and there was no way I could get out of the run or the dinner. So I did go. I did go for the dinner. I exchanged pleasantries. I met everyone, did the red carpet, and then just when everybody was sitting down, I excused myself. I told the chairman that I have to leave. He said, "What happened? Are you not okay?" I said, "No, I have a run tomorrow." And he's like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sorry, but I have to go." And so, it initially it was sort of you're crazy, but eventually people accept that this is my passion. They sort of support me. Even my friends support me. So they wouldn't have a sort of a event or a
Long
meeting.
face. Yeah. Party pooper.
So it's okay. Initially they did. It's like, come on now. Uh, you know, it's okay
But
now. Now
tell me,
everybody.
Namrata, how many hours a week do you manage to log in for your training?
So when I'm right now, I'm not training for anything specific. Really, there's no races. Yeah. So it depends on the mileage I am, sort of putting in. So anywhere from 40K to going up to 80, 90K during training. So that's
Right. Okay.
the yeah, it's the mileage that I clock in. But
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
distance. I've realized that I am a distance runner. I enjoy distance. I can't say I'm a fast runner, but yeah, I'm a distance runner. I enjoy distance.
Yeah. Well, that's modest for a BQ runner to say I'm a fast runner is modest.
Gauri, actually, you know what? BQ is really, it's just a stamp. It's not really, I'm not trying to sound modest or underplay it. But honestly, like my Chicago time was 3:44, which is the I think the qualifying time is 3:50, and I made a 3:44. Is not so fast, honestly. Fast would be if I were like a three sub 3:30 for my age category. I'm going to turn 50 soon. So, but I realized that even with training, you can only push so much, with your body, because it's like burning your candles at both ends. Given my work situation and my living
Yeah.
between two continents and training, this is what I can do best. But it is not the best, is what I'm trying to say. This is my best, but it's not. I'm not as fast. I could be faster if I had a luxury of more time in sense.
Yeah, but I think that's the amazing thing that you juggle everything and you deal with all of the things that you're dealing with and you're still still are able to do what you're doing. And I'm sure there are a lot of people there who would think that, well, a BQ is a BQ, right? It gets you to the start line of Boston, which is the world's most desirable race. It's, Ashok Nath refers to it as the Olympics of the amateur runner. So the thing is that you're able to do that with everything that you have going on. And I think that's what kind of like, makes, and you've done it in such a short period of time, Namrata. And I think that's really what makes it kind of like, talk worthy. But also I know that, you're really interested in nutrition, and that's also a kind of an interesting thing, because again, you are sort of like literally living out of a suitcase. You are trying to run long distances. You just mentioned that you're doing up to about 80 to 90 kilometers in a week. Tell me, from all that, reading that you've done, what are the 2, 3 things that you absolutely don't compromise on when you're traveling?
So one is eating healthy, as in getting the right protein, the right carbs, but my number one is beets. Whether I'm traveling on a trek, wherever I am, I have beets in some form. That's my go-to thing. Whether I have a beet powder with me, or I have beets, so beets is my, like very specific. I'm talking about a very specific thing, which is beets. That's my go-to.
It's your drug.
Number one. Yeah, that's my go-to thing. And psychologically, I feel if I've not had beets, psychologically I start feeling, oh, my body is lacking. It's lacking in nutrition, because I am so addicted to it, and I'm so sort of value. It's very high up in my value chain, and as far as nutrition is concerned. And especially for my age category, as you get older, you lose a lot of muscle mass. So I'm very particular about my protein intake and the quality of protein intake. So my every meal has to have protein. uh, though I have I'm not such a stickler, and I'm not a skinny runner. I'm a very curvy runner, so which is fine for me. I'm okay with it as long as I'm healthy. But I do indulge also. I do have I'm obsessed. I'm a Delhi girl. I'm obsessed with my chole bhature. And if there's anybody from Delhi logged on, they know that my go-to thing to celebrate if I've had a really good run or a really good race is hot chocolate fudge. Like, that's like my go-to thing. But so that's those. I'm not talking about nutrition. So basically, it's very I have high quality carbs. uh, I don't eat wheat at all. I avoid gluten. I'm so high quality carbs like brown rice or quinoa. These are my sort of staple in my diet, or ragi. uh, I only eat ragi roti. So these are a few things that I look into, and a lot of fermented food, because I do think gut health is very important. So I have a lot of fermented food, be like idlis. I love idlis, and so basically very healthy. I cook a lot myself, so I control how much oil I put in, or how much what goes into my food, and what goes into my body.
Wow. Namrata, if you are doing all of the things that you're doing, which I know you do, and you tell me that you cook yourself, I'm telling you, you have my hats off. You absolutely have my hats off. This is just incredible. Yeah, it's just I can't cook to save my life. And if there's somebody else who's happy to do it, I'm very happy. It's just like not my thing really. So tell me, Namrata, you are basically, amongst India's top fashion designers, and you've literally sort of self-created the brand that you have, which is a very respected brand. And then a few years ago, you got into this world of running. I'm curious to know about how these two worlds actually marry into each other. How has would you say that your running has influenced your fashion, and has your fashion influenced your running? Just what are your thoughts on that?
It's very interesting, Gauri, because as a distance runner or an endurance runner, or as just a runner, you have a certain discipline in you, and that only if you're disciplined can you take that training forward. Likewise, in my profession, what the world sees on the outside is a very glamorous small part of it, but what happens behind and what's going on is a
Yeah.
lot of work. So I'm actually like a factory worker. I'm a factory girl. I'm in the factory. I'm working morning to night, and especially around the show time, it's non-stop. It's like you're running a marathon every day. However, if you are not able to if you don't have that focus, and if you don't have that physical energy and the endurance, you cannot do that. So I have always felt it's my running which has helped me stay consistent and to have that focus in my work, no matter how I spend my time, whether I live in Delhi, whether I'm in Vancouver, whether I'm you know what I mean. It's the
Yeah.
focus and the discipline. So that's one thing. And running is uh, I love running. It's not something that I do to get medals or to, just better my timing. I genuinely enjoy running. And so sometimes I feel all that goes in the world, in my professional world, all the baggage that I carry from my work, everything I just unwind when I'm out for a run. I have my lovely group of friends. When I'm in Delhi, I run with this group, my Sunday running group, and it's just a nice chat, and you're running, you're encouraging each other, and it's a good chat. So you just unwind. So I guess
Yeah.
it's a two-way process, and I enjoy it very much. Both I enjoy both in equal measure.
Yeah. I was talking to some of the runners earlier today, and we were actually specifically talking about I think for some of us, we just have that, that privilege to actually be able to go out and see races outside, look at expos, or have, friends and family living in the US, etc. The trend that I see, Namrata, is that a lot of women, especially, right, they tend to buy all of their active wear in outside of India, right? So I just feel like when it comes to the quality, and I think sometimes even the price points that you have, right, for extremely good athletic wear in India compared to the outside world, I just feel like, it's not even a comparison. And even though we have all of the big brands that are there, you still have a lot that needs to, I think India really needs to kind of catch up with the game of um, athletic fashion, but also affordable athletic fashion, because all some great brands are really available, great quality brands are available at very good prices outside of India. So as a runner, the first thing I want is, as a runner and somebody who comes from the fashion world, I want to know about, what you have to say about the status of athletic wear for women in India. And the second thing that, of course, I and a lot of other people want to know is NJ going to have a line of, when I say athletic, I literally mean like not athleisure, but kind of sporting wear for women at any point in time. Is that on the
So,
cards?
you know uh, Gauri, that active sportswear, the category is, in sort of increasingly getting popular in India. Not just as you
Yeah,
already said, there's one category which is athleisure, and the other is active sportswear, which we use in terms of, in an activity which is like running or gym or whatever.
right.
Yes, we have a lot of brands. The awareness and the exposure has increased tremendously in that space in India, and there's lots of out in being offered by lots of brands, the bigger brands, the big brands out there. Some is priced well and some is not. It's that's been on my chart, and I will definitely I want to explore that category, because technically I understand clothing, technically I understand a requirement of active sportswear as a runner or as someone who goes to the gym, or someone who understands that. It's a completely different sort of specs and specifications you work with. But I've been spending some time studying it and understanding it, and definitely in some time I will want to launch the NJ brand of active wear, or sort of if one of these bigger companies is open to a collaboration, I definitely want to take that up. uh, you know However, what has also happened is, because of my design is very personal. It's an expression of your personal experiences, personal thoughts, personal exposure, personal likes, right? So every time, for years that I've been doing my fashion presentations, there's always a sporty element in it, which is, of course, more bourgeois and more high fashion and more in that
Right.
space. But there are always elements. Even the show which I did 2 days back has a lot of, sort of sports bra interpretation, tights, visors. Of course, that's more embellished and of a different athleisure variety.
Right.
But yeah, but having said that, it's a space I'm exploring. It's a space I will definitely get into in the future, and will keep your comments in mind of having affordable pricing.
Yeah,
uh,
I mean, literally, Namrata, like I feel like I personally end up picking up everything from, my sports bras to my tights to my t-shirts and everything from outside. And I just feel like I'm able to do it because I travel. And I feel like I just feel like quality comes at such a high price in India, right? I'm just, and I'm sure, like I said, I spoke to some people earlier today, and I think women just generally tend to feel that that good quality, sportswear is kind of like, it's, first of all, it's hard to find. It's hard to find, and the Indian woman is kind of like differently shaped compared to others. So I'm sure you know that. So it's
that was a point I was going to make, that given that I've been in the Indian market, and I've been I have a brand that I've had for 20 more than 20 years. I understand the female form of the Indian shopper, or the client out there. So that spec is very it is not a standard spec. Also what you get overseas, or the standard brands, of course the brands now are adapting. I'm thinking that they, like you, I do most of my buying overseas.
right.
But I think the Indian brands are adapting to Indian bodies, which are quite different, generally speaking, to a European body, or to a Japanese body, or to an American body. Yeah, so
Right.
that I
Yeah,
see the change
absolutely.
happening. Yeah, I see the change happening, but yeah, it comes at a price. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think I'm pretty sure that there's a whole, market out there that's kind of waiting for, great products and great fits to come into the market. And I think also lasting products, right? So I'm sure lots of people are going to be now waiting for the NJ athletic wear to actually come into the market. So that's good to hear. Um, the other question, going back a little bit, you were talking about your running journey some time ago, and you mentioned that I think at one of the half marathons you collapsed at the finish line. I actually saw that story online, And you've done, three of your world majors so far, and you've done them with Active Holiday Company. And I know that the minute, the day the race gets over, the next morning, there are papers that are writing about NJ ran this race and NJ ran that marathon. And, so I think kind of there's with the kind of work that you do, there's such a spotlight on you, right? That everybody's kind of just waiting to see. You have people who are following what you're doing. You have people who are interested in the timing that you do. They're interested in the races that you run. And I feel like there's just this it's kind of this social as well as this media interest in what you are doing, because you are a celebrity entrepreneur. Tell me, how do you? That's the modest Namrata that I know.
I am not a celebrity. I'm just an entrepreneur. Let's put it straight. That celebrity tag doesn't work with me. But however, yeah, tell me, what's your question?
Yeah, so my question was really, knowing that you have all of these eyes on you the whole time, especially when you're racing, etc. How do you deal with this pressure, right? Like, people are watching you. There's going to be news tomorrow about what you've done in your race.
Oh, not at all. Gauri, I run the race for myself. It does not matter. Uh, that's not on my mind at all, and has never been and will never be. Um, I've been in this industry way too long enough to know what matters and what doesn't matter. And that part does not matter at all. I appreciate, and I am appreciative of the fact that they consider this, mention worthy in their papers. So I'm appreciative of that. But that's not what I strive for. That's not at all on my mind. And that's not why I run. And that's not why if I've run a race and I have, however I have done, if I put it on social media, it's just to share. It's not to get noticed. Gauri, you were with me in London. I had such a terrible race, but I put that up also. It's not all the good things that I write about. It's, if I had a bad race, I
Yeah.
write about that too. And that's life, and I don't live for that. I neither do I run for that, neither do I live for that, neither I if that weren't happening, would I stop running? Never, right? It's
Yeah.
not, there
Yeah.
is no pressure on me. That's It's just a byproduct of the industry I belong to. And because there are not that many people in my industry, or rather I'd say not really in my industry, who sort of do
Do
these
what you're doing. Yeah.
yeah. I remember I was in, I'd climbed Kilimanjaro a few years back, and I'd not even come back to Delhi. And when I landed in Delhi, it was in the papers that day. And I'm okay, it's a great thing, but climbing Kilimanjaro is a very normal thing. It's not, it's not an exceptional thing. You know what I mean? Thousands of people across the world have climbed Kilimanjaro. But if they find that mention worthy, okay. Or me collapsing at a finish line. I remember I was running ADHM, I can't remember how many years back, maybe 5 years back, and I'd had um, a dental abscess. But it's that monkey brain which tells you, no, 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 you've trained for it, you better run. And this happened like 2 days before the race. So I popped a lot of painkillers, a lot of antibiotics, and I said, I'm going to run. So I did run. And just, as you turn into Nehru Stadium, and it's that green or red, I can't remember. It's red. Yeah. I collapsed on that. And, I fell because I just collapsed. I was so dizzy and I just fell. And I remember my friend, Abhishek Mishra and Shrenik, these two guys who are my running buddies, were standing at the finish line, and someone told them, "Oh, listen, your friend's fallen flat there." And they came running and picked me up. And all I remember telling Abhishek is, I don't want to be a DNF. I want to finish this race. And I can see the finish line in front of me. He's like, okay. He picked me up. And again, I fell. I'm like, no, no, I don't want to be a DNF. I want to finish this race. So, they both are holding my hand, and I'm like, okay, let's do this. And I actually finished my race myself, not them carrying me. And there was a photographer standing there, there was a reporter standing there, and they, of course, took pictures of me falling, leaning at every
Yeah,
step.
yeah,
And of course, that was on the,
yeah.
Delhi
Newspaper.
Times.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and people made many digs at me, runners, that अच्छा तो गिरना पड़ता है पेपर में फोटो आने के लिए types. Like, you know what? I didn't do it on purpose. I didn't stage it. It happened. It happened. What do I do now? So what I'm saying is, this is just this is how my industry works.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the thing is, Namrata, that while I mean, you are, of course, I mean, you're very modest in saying that, it's nothing extraordinary, but the fact of the matter is that there is just a very small percentage of people from your industry, and I think it's probably got to do with the demands of your industry. Your industry is so incredibly demanding. You're literally as good as your last design, or who wore
Absolutely.
what that was created by you. So the pressure to kind of stay relevant is so high. But I think the fact that you're actually able to juggle that as well as juggle, this running, which is also equally demanding. I think that's probably what makes it newsworthy for many people. So I would actually not discount it as absolutely nothing. But yeah, you talked a little bit about London, and if I remember right, I think your race routine for the world majors was you did New York first, and then you did London, and then finally I think Chicago was the last world marathon major that you did, right? And yeah, I do remember. I think London was a little disappointing for you,
Yeah.
but I'm just, I just want to hear firsthand from you what running each of these races felt like for you. How are they different? And what really made each of these races special for you?
Okay. So, Gauri, my first race in 2018 was New York. And, I came with no expectations. I was completely, you know, uh, you know, and I chose New York as my first major, world major, because I have lived in that city. My daughter was born there. I still go to New York very often. It's home for me. New York's home. I have lived there for so long, and I have friends. I have family in New York. So New York's home for me. So I wanted to uh, choose a city which I'm familiar with. So I chose New York. That was my first choice. And when I came there, I was very. I had no expectations, and I still remember, Gauri, when I was in the elevator. They were, in the hotel. There were all these runners there, and I was going up to my room, and someone. There were two guys with our group only, and I greeted them. I said, you're here for the race? They say, yes, yes. I said, oh, good luck, have a good race. And they said, who are you accompanying someone? And I looked very startled, that how judgmental. I looked at myself like, what? I don't look like a runner? Like, gosh. And that was a day before the race. Like, someone is judging me just the way I look. And I said, no, I'm running. Acha, acha. Okay, I was not very. So, anyways, that happened, and I ran the race. And I still remember Nakul sending me my race plan. And we have a race called pre-race, and I'm reading the race plan, and I'm like, Nakul must be kidding. What does he think I am? How can he give me this race plan? But I'm a very because in other parts of my life, whether it's business, whether it's my daughter's education, whether it's running a home, I have to use my brain a lot. Correct? It's So when it comes to training and racing, I don't use my brain at all. I am totally dependent on Nakul. He will say sit, I will sit. He'll say run, I will run. He'll say run at this pace, I will run at that pace. I don't do anything. I just follow his plan. So then it was a bit of a challenge when I read his race plan, and we got on a call, and I was actually a little mad at him. And he's like, "Come on, trust in your, believe in your training. I believe in your training. Go it, do it." So I said fine, and I went to sleep, and I wrote that splits on my hand what he had given me, because because of the high rise, the GPS is not working. And I ran the race. It was my first. I was totally blank, but I did a 3:53. And
Yeah, and I just want to add there, Namrata, just for the benefit of our audience, that I go with the groups for all the six world pages, and I think honestly, I feel New York is the hardest. This is my personal opinion because of the fact that it kind of not so far away, and the kind of time that you have to put in to get to Staten Island, and then you run, and it's kind of like compared to what we are used to in terms of training, it's kind of a late start. It's almost like an 8-hour day by the time you're done with it. So I just want to kind of like add that, because I think, what you did, it was your first marathon outside of India, and you might have had reasons, but the thing is, you picked the hardest of all six.
so at the time when I picked it, signed up, I had no clue about all this. I just went, anyways.
Yeah.
So I did a 3:53, and technically, till that year, till 2018, the BQ of my age category was 3:55. But that year, they lowered it to 3:50 because of the,
Demand, yeah.
demand in the category. So there we go. So, Nakul and I had a good laugh that, all right, on to next. And that was November. And then I signed up for London, which was in April. I was
Yeah.
way better trained and way better. I knew what to expect. And it was a fast course. It was something that I was looking forward to finally crack my BQ. And but it was not what was destined. I cramped very badly. I have a cramping issue. There is some electrolyte imbalance in my body, and I guess it's just to do with my sort of a hormonal cycle. So I cramped very badly at 25K, and then I tried hard. I was on track till 25K, and I tried to salvage it, but I just couldn't. And I did a flat 4 hours, and I was very unhappy. And you were there, and it
Yeah,
was,
you were very disappointed. Yes.
and I uh, stayed disappointed for a very long time. And that is a lesson that I've learned. That is my learning from London. Like, you asked me what each race meant to me, that you cannot carry this disappointment for a long time. You have to get over it very quickly and get on with it. And again, I remember speaking to my husband, uh, who's very Buddha like, and I called him. He called me immediately after the race. Of course, he was tracking me, and he's like, "What happened?" I'm like, "Excuse me." I was so angry. I'm like, "Don't ask me what happened. Just ask me how I'm doing." And then he said, "Come on, you can't be like this." And Nakul told me that. And uh, he my coach Nakul is my guide, and he said, "Listen, your training was on point. You cramped. There's nothing you can do about it. Let's get on with next." And that's when I signed up. I took a while to sign up for Chicago. I was not sure, because I had this disappointment lingering around me, like a halo. Everywhere I went, that disappointment went with me. And then I realized that I'm getting too sucked into all of this, and I should get on with it next. And I signed up for Chicago very late, I guess in July or something, very, very late. I was still on the edge whether I want to run it or not. And then I signed up for Chicago, and I trained, the usual amount, nothing different, nothing special, exactly like what. And what was happening was I was actually feeling a sort of tired, because this was uh, within 11 months. This was my third marathon, from November
Yeah,
to October, 11 months. This was my
correct.
third marathon. So I said, chalo, let's just go. And it's also a fast course. So I went, and I went very blank again, without any. I said, just go, follow the race plan which Nakul has given. And I just followed it, and it happened. So you just have to believe in your training, and not make too many things in your head. And it just happened. And unfortunately, I was looking forward to running Boston in 2020,
Yeah.
one, which is not this year, but the coming year. It would have been my 50th year, and I would have been running Boston. But I guess there are different plans, and it'll happen at some point, and I know I will run it again. And Gauri, there are 3 more to go, and many more races to go. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And
so
I
that's.
think the plan has actually been different for absolutely everybody, Namrata. This year, I think, has kind of been, a different plan for literally everybody. Just a second, Namrata. I just have a small surprise for you. With all the talk that was going on, I thought that.
Oh my God!
Do you want to tell everybody who that is?
Yes, that is my coach, and it is the man who kicks my butt on
Nakul,
the
I
stairs
don't
in
know
the
if you've
track.
heard. Yeah, I'm just saying, Nakul, I don't know whether heard the conversation or not, but your name has come up 100 times in this conversation. So I think it's a very apt surprise,
No,
right? I'm going to allow Namrata to introduce you, but after that, I want you
My
to
God,
tell us all how badass
I'm
Namrata is.
shocked. I'm shocked because Nakul has a race, a very, very challenging vertical cliff
Yes.
that he's going to start. And I'm shocked that he's on this, chat. Thank you, Nakul. Not one, he
yeah,
has 2
thanks so
races in the next 2 days.
yeah, thanks so much, Gauri, for inviting me, and awesome to hear Namrata. Obviously, she's so inspiring, and she's done amazing things. And I feed off as much energy as they feed off me. So like to see these guys do what they do with the kind of crazy lifestyles that they have, and to see Namrata do all the things that she does with such a busy lifestyle, it's really inspiring. And I hope everyone who's on the show can take that to be a mother, to be living out of multiple countries, and to have a crazy business and a schedule. It's really amazing. Can you
Thank you,
guys
Nakul.
hear
But,
me? I am I'm kind of in a patchy network in Solang in Kulu Valley, so I'm not sure if you guys can hear me, but I hope you can.
No, we can hear you, Nakul. I can hear you. I'm sure. Yeah, Namrata. We are literally like in 3 different parts of the world. I mean, Solang is in India, but still, it's kind of like really far away. I want to know, Nakul, does Namrata listen to everything that you say to her? Does she follow the plan to the T?
Mostly, except she loves running long, and many times I'm telling her not to run as long as, so it's limiting her long runs. But she's pretty good otherwise. Yeah.
that is
Um,
my pet peeve. Sometimes my weekly mileage, I don't cover up in the week, and I add it to my long run, and Nakul just blasts the hell out of me. He's being very kind right now, but he's like, I'm not happy with what you're doing. So again, short up your Sunday run. So now I I'm like, I follow the rules. I read, even fine print I read. I don't do anything which I'm not supposed to do.
Yeah, but I
But
need
it's
to
really
tell you,
amazing. Sorry, but it's
go
really
ahead, please.
amazing because while we're talking about the things Namrata's done, it's also very inspiring to see that she's so motivated to like do bigger things, and hopefully over the coming months and years we can achieve those. So it's not only just now, but it's also like the future that she's looking up to, and that kind of is. I guess if people have that fire in whatever they do, be it running or just generally in life, I think if we can take that out distance running and apply it to other things through people like Namrata and all, I think that would be lovely.
So true, Nakul. Well said. Absolutely. I'm with you there. Yeah, I think she's inspiring, and all the things that she kind of juggles with are just incredible. And the fact that she actually does a good job of all of those things, you know. So I think it's
Gauri, I'm getting, I am, I get inspired by my, even in our chats before, I've told you that I'm, please, like, as in the running space, I do it because I like it. I have not accomplished anything great. It's very average. And I've said this to you a few times earlier also. I don't think of this as an accomplishment. I'm an average runner. I want to be better. And that's why I keep, poking Nakul and my, there's a very good all-in running community that I'm part of, where everybody's so encouraging, inspiring. I'm partly because I'm a designer, but those guys are real runners, and those guys are who I seek inspiration from, and I'm constantly learning in awe, like how these guys do it. There are people like Shreyans, there are people like Hemant, and there's Gil, who's like killing it at 56. These are people that inspire me. They're really. I have people in my running group who's Satish, who's a CEO of a, not CEO. I guess I'm getting it wrong. Sorry, but he's such a respected, successful, busy man. But he's running sub 4 marathons. Like, these guys are truly inspiring. I am still, you know, I'm not. I'm work in
Well,
progress.
the thing is, Namrata, I don't discount, the kind of accomplishments that you have, because, I feel like you also have a really demanding career, and you're literally like you are literally, if I would say, a 2-year-old marathon runner, right? So I just, I'm very excited for the journey that you have ahead of you. I'm sure so does Nakul. Nakul, I just wanted to tell you, I heard your name a lot of times in New York. Okay, she whined a lot about that phone call, and she really was mad. What is he asking me to do? But look, she went out and she did it, right? So I just thought, since I have this common platform to kind of connect all the dots, I might as well do it. But thanks so much for
I
joining
don't
Yeah,
us.
know,
no,
Gauri, how you manage, because yeah, thanks.
Yeah, well,
Thanks for
yeah, yeah.
sort of convinced Nakul to do this, because this is so not him. There's never he's always behind the scenes. He'll never. I'm surprised that he even
No,
agreed to
I
this,
think
Nakul.
it's wonderful, Nakul. I'm so grateful to you, for this surprise. And I think it was the look on Namrata's face was just priceless. She's like, what? He's supposed to be running a race. But all the best for your race tomorrow, Nakul. Thank you so much. I know you had a race
yeah, yeah.
briefing that you kind of just probably stepped out of. I really appreciate that. And thank you for making this a real surprise for Namrata. And I just want to tell you that it's really, really
Thank
nice
you
of
for
you
having me.
to have made it.
All right, thank you so much. Really appreciate it, and keep up the good work. Both of you guys are doing awesome. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Bye.
thanks.
Nakul.
Good luck with the race, Nakul. Good luck with the
Thank you.
races.
Thank you.
Yeah, Namrata, how was that surprise?
My gosh, I can't believe you pulled that one, because, as I said earlier, that Nakul's not a runner. he's very media shy, and he's very, he stays away from all of this. And some once or twice in the past, someone asked me, and I asked him, and he declined. So I'm surprised that you convinced him,
Yeah,
to.
I have I have a little hat and I have a little rabbit in that hat. So I'm not going to tell you my secrets, but yeah, I think it was amazing to have him there.
Yeah.
Namrata, before I hit off to the rapid fire, because we probably have less than 5 minutes left, and I have a rapid fire with no gift
Yes.
hamper for all of my guests. I just want to know, like, now that you've done a BQ, what's your next running goal?
I want to just try and run a longer distance. So I want to attempt a 50K whenever this thing opens up. So that's the next goal.
Fantastic. I have 5 rapid fire questions for you. You literally need to spit the answer out as soon as you can, and I've kept them really easy. But let's go with the
Okay.
first one. What is your number one travel tip for runners? Number one travel tip for
If you're going
runners.
for a race, carry your. Okay, if you're going for a race, carry your race gear in your hand luggage. Don't check it in.
Fantastic. This is what I tell everybody as well. If there was a hamper, I might have given you a prize for that, but there's no hamper. But let's see. I mean, let's see how it goes, okay? Number of strength and conditioning days in a week that you follow.
3 without fail.
3 without fail. Fantastic. One race you can't wait to run once, all of this drama is over.
Boston, of course.
Yeah, that was an easy one, right? No thinking needed. One celebrity you really enjoy dressing again and again and again.
Well, I've not dressed that celebrity, but if given an opportunity, I would love to dress him, even though I don't do menswear, is Virat Kohli.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, I thought it would be one of those Bollywood boys or girls. So this is fantastic. I love the answer. Um, and finally, this is your last one, and I need the truth here. Which is a running fashion fad that you absolutely cannot tolerate?
Running fashion, running brand.
Fad. Yeah, running fashion fad, or whatever you see in terms of like runners, the way they dress and whatever, something about like that just really gets your goat when you see runners dressed like that.
Velvet track pants. I'm ready to go on record to say that I hate them. The velvet velour track pants, and like that whole track suit. Oh, I hate it. It's not
Wow,
so
people have to
running.
run in that?
It's not a running thing. It's more athleisure, but I hate it.
Okay. Oh, well, that's yeah, kind of not really like the appropriate category, but I'll let it go, Namrata. You could have done better with that. Last
Okay,
question.
sorry, I didn't. Sorry, it was not as controversial as you would have liked.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it's really been great to have you on the show, Namrata. We've been talking about chatting, and finally, we needed to have the Runaway show for us to talk to you. I want to just close by once again talking about the woman and the fashion designer that you are. It's been so enjoyable to talk to you, and for the rest of the crowd, we're going to have Shamal Vallabhji on the next show. And look forward to seeing you guys. Thanks again for waking up early enough for that and joining us today.
Not at all. Thank you, Gauri, for having me. Thank you.
Thanks. Good night. Have a good weekend.